Hey, what's going on? AJ here from Frontend Simplified. And in this video, what I want to do is just give you some information, right, about front-end development and the tech industry as a whole. That way, when you jump on your interview with our admissions officer, you have enough high-level knowledge so that you're not going into it blind, right? This will give you complete clarity, and it's also going to allow you to have a more legitimate conversation about whether this is or isn't the right career opportunity for you, okay? So let's jump in. This is how you can learn to code and actually land a job in as little as 90 days, and why, in our opinion, this is the best opportunity for people that are committed to earning location freedom, more income, and a better career in 2025 and 2026. Now, when I talk to our graduates, right, that change their entire lives with front-end engineering, they don't just talk about the surface level things. Like, they talk about how it literally transformed everything. Right? Now, the first thing is that the median salary after 1 year is 111K. Now, that's 60% higher than the US median. Now, for most people, that's learning to code is the first time that they're actually building like a real high income skill. Like when that first paycheck hits, they realize, hey, I can actually afford to buy a home, not stress about the utility bills. I can take my wife, I can take my husband or my family out for a nice dinner on a whim, right? For a lot of people, even the entry-level roles will be more than they've ever earned before, averaging anywhere between 65K to 85K a year. Now, another key quality of front-end development is that a lot of the roles that you see that offer these salaries, they're completely remote or they're hybrid. They have amazing perks. Like being able to travel while you work. I literally knew a guy who got Starlink and he would literally go camping and jump on Zoom, like in his tent. Now, obviously, like most people aren't going to take it to that extreme, but what a lot of people, really love is being able to spend more time with their family, block out time for their kids' events, like their first soccer game or dance recital, which, you might have had to feel the pain of missing out on while, working other more traditional jobs. Now, this next point that I'm going to bring up, it's super important, okay? Specifically for the more ambitious people. Now, within 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to have enough skills to genuinely earn while you learn. Now, we've found that people who start networking and set up their Upwork profiles learn the fastest because they have the outside pressure of needing to be able to execute on behalf of clients. This is where people start to realize that there's actually light at the end of the tunnel, and you see the financial proof of the new skills that you learn. This is something that our graduates say all the time, and they love the fact that their job is building things that people actually use, right? They now feel as though what they're doing actually has an impact. They don't feel like a cog in a machine, right? Just a number on a spreadsheet. They can actually see their work come to life. I would honestly say one of the best things about front-end development is the sense of purpose that you feel when delivering a project, which obviously then makes you feel much more confident, much happier as a person, right? Now, most importantly, like the main thing is that you're going to be developing the number one highest value skill set in our new economy. The World Economic Forum says that AI will create 170 million new jobs, mostly in tech, by learning how to code. You'll be the one that companies turn to for new AI tech builds. We already see this happening. One of our grads, Zen, he created a folder in his inbox just to manage his weekly job offers. That's the power of mastering a sought-after skill. Another grad, Ryan, he actually signed a lease on a city apartment with a skyline view. No budget spreadsheet, no second guessing. When you're in demand, you will stop worrying about layoffs or rent. You already know that 20 or 30 companies would literally just hire you tomorrow, right? You can actually live freely. So this is going to allow you to do all of that without needing another expensive college degree, without constantly worrying about job security in an unstable market, without the dread of having to walk into that classroom, retailer, warehouse, or office and thinking to yourself, why am I working this soul-sucking job? Without missing your kids' once-in-a-lifetime moments because some company controls your calendar, without feeling financially trapped in a career that's basically going nowhere. Now, I want to show you what exactly is possible by sharing real stories of people who were exactly where you are right now. So Chase was a 39-year-old social worker when he first started working in front-end development and learning it, right? He doubled his salary after he landed a front-end software engineering job. Ethan, right? He used to wake up at 5 a.m. for his 2-hour commute back and forth, missing out on sleep every single day. After our program, he works 100% remotely. And this is what he said. He said, even if you do front-end simplified for 1 or 2 hours per day, you will succeed just like I did. That's his words. So he did it studying just 1 to 2 hours per day around that the work schedule that he did have, right? Dina, for example. Dina was a teacher. She was a burnt out teacher making $25 an hour. She had no technical background, zero experience, and she now works as a software engineer at Atlassian, making $150,000 a year. Her entire family's financial situation has completely transformed, right? Manish submitted 200 job applications in his previous career with no responses. After our program, though, he had 4 job offers in 6 weeks, and he now works at Top Tech. Now, when I talked to Manish last week, it's funny, he told me, he was like, I used to check my bank account with anxiety, but now I check it with excitement to see how much can I invest? What can I look into now, right? These aren't exceptional geniuses with all this computer background, IT background, super technical. They're just regular people. They were just tired of struggling and ready for a change, right? Now, all these success stories are cool, right? But what is front-end engineering? So just to give you some background, this is actually something that David did himself. So not too long ago, he was exactly where you must be right now, right? Absolutely no idea about how to code, like not a clue, okay? Now, I'm gonna tell you something that seems impossible, but it's actually true, okay? So David went from that to becoming one of the best engineers at a tech company where over 1 million people, actually 100 million people, were using the features that he built. Can you imagine that? David left his old 9-to-5 job that made him feel trapped, isolated, like he was on a treadmill, going nowhere, discovering nothing, to now discovering front-end development. He was working remotely. He was achieving financial freedom. He didn't have a degree. He didn't have any connections, right? He didn't start from the top. He just learned this specific skill that almost nobody else was mastering. Now, just so you can see what his payslip looked like, it was 100K base, right here, 10K in retirement fund, and around 50K in stock options. And the funniest thing was, he told me back then he wasn't even passionate about coding. He just did it for the money, right? But then when he learned it and he actually got himself into it, he actually found it pretty cool and he started to enjoy it, right? Now, a year after that, he then started FES Institute to help train thousands of software engineers and certify them in the skills and tech that our company partners are hiring for. And here's what that really proves the value of what we teach. Companies like TikTok, Bank of America, Capital One, and Amazon have reached out specifically requesting our students to work on their front-end code. Now, why is this such a massive opportunity right now? It's because front-end engineering has a supply problem. Unis don't specialize it. So there's not enough highly skilled front-end developers to fulfill that demand. This is what I mean, okay? What I'm showing you right now is a side-by-side comparison of job applications, front-end versus back-end. So what we did was we got our team of engineers to apply for as many back-end roles as they possibly could. Now, that's the graph you see on the left. And then also apply for front-end jobs. That's the one on the right. Now, we actually used the exact same resume. The only thing that we changed was to replace every back-end word with front-end. And the results were insane. So over 800 applications for back-end jobs with 0 interviews and 0 job offers. On the other side, 100 applications for front-end roles, 12 interviews and 4 offers. Back-end is extremely competitive and you typically need some sort of referral or know someone to get the interview for that company. This opportunity exists for one reason only. Traditional education has just failed to teach front-end development properly, while everyone else is fighting over the same backend development jobs, competing against Harvard and Stanford CS graduates, with 4.0 GPAs. You've discovered a way to get those same jobs, get the tech lifestyle that they're living and loving without competing with these guys. Now, you might be wondering, right? Like, what's the difference between the two types of software engineering, like back-end, front-end? What does this all mean? So back-end is what you learn in college, right? Front-end, on the other hand, is what we teach. Now, when most people try to break into tech, as you've probably seen from like all the advice online, like they're focusing on back-end development. What that means is Python, Java, C++, algorithms, data structures. Trying to teach yourself this and trying to land a job in it, it's literally like trying to become a surgeon or a medical professional without going to a medical school. Like, I'm going to be completely honest. If you pursue back-end development, you're competing against 22-year-olds with Stanford CS degrees, people who have been coding since they were literally 10 years old, engineers with the perfect GPAs and internships at Google. And on top of that, backend it's hard. Like, David personally struggled with it, and he actually almost gave up learning to code because of it. It's an impossible game to win as a career changer. But here's a secret most people miss, right? According to Stack Overflow, in terms of like difficulty itself, front-end was literally rated half as difficult as back-end. However, front-end developers are equally in demand and make nearly the same amount of money, but the path to get there is completely different, right? Just look at this US Bureau of Labor Statistics report for entry-level salaries, right? So it's half the difficulty for essentially the same entry-level pay and the same demand, with over 100,000 open roles for both front-end and back-end roles. Front-end development focuses on what users actually see and interact with, right? So it basically requires like a completely different skill set. It's more visual, it's more creative, it's more human, right? And this is the kicker. Colleges don't teach it properly. So what does this mean? It basically creates this massive opportunity gap that you can exploit. So while everyone else is fighting for back-end jobs, you can just slip through the secret side door and land a high-paying role with dramatically less competition. What this graph shows is that 95% of universities have a back-end focus. Compare that to front-end, 18%, which is the exact reason that our students are able to land jobs so quickly. They're not competing with Stanford and Harvard CS graduates. They're in a completely different race with much less competition, right? Speaking of less competition, if you truly want to separate yourself and land your first tech job fast, then getting an internship is a must. It's a non-negotiable. Of everyone who applied for roles and found success, 96% had an internship on their resume. So what does that tell you, right? Having experience on your resume is extremely important when it comes to landing your tech job. And that is exactly why we have spent years creating amazing relationships with these partner companies who are generous enough to offer guaranteed internships to our graduates. Now, let me take you back to 2020, okay? COVID, economic crashes, the world was falling apart. Let me tell you why software engineers were the only professionals getting raises during the 2020 economic crash, and why they will be protected in any future downturn. Picture this, okay? So there's two workers, okay? A truck driver and a software engineer. So the truck driver, worker A, he drives from point A to point B. He can't really be better at his job because, he can't legally drive faster than the speed limit, right? He basically produces the exact same value as every other truck driver. He's replaceable, right? Worker 2, on the other hand, the front-end engineer, which is what you're about to become, he creates digital products used by millions. He can become 2, 5, even 10x more productive with experience. He produces exponentially more value than junior engineers. He's able to leverage AI to work faster. He's nearly impossible to replace, right? What that means for you and what that means for your future is when the economy tanks or AI takes over, companies will immediately cut these easily replaceable workers like the truck drivers who they all produce the same value, right? However, they fight to keep the ones such as engineers because each one might be generating millions, if not millions and millions in value, right? This isn't theory. David lived it. During the pandemic, I had a friend. He used to work at a restaurant and he lost his job within 2 weeks of the pandemic. Can you imagine that? Meanwhile, the tech company that David worked for, they were offering retention bonuses to make sure that he didn't leave during the crash. David literally personally went from $80,000 a year to $160,000 a year in 18 months just because he could produce twice the amount of value in the same amount of time. Try doubling your income in any other profession, right? When you build this skill, you build a financial force field around yourself and your family that protects you in any economic climate. Why? Because you're going with the tech tide, not against it, right? Now, I want to address the elephant in the room, right? I hear this all the time, and you're probably wondering too. Won't AI replace programmers? Isn't coding going to disappear? Isn't AI robots going to take over? Now, I literally hear this every single day, probably every hour of the day. And I understand why, okay? Like all these headlines about AI, they're everywhere, right? This is what insiders and the general public doesn't know, okay? Now, AI is making developers more valuable, not less. How does that make sense though? Let me explain, okay? I'm gonna share a real life example from David's experience. So last year, he needed to build a feature that would have taken him, I'd say about 4 hours before AI existence, right? With AI though, he built it in 1 hour. Now this is the critical part. The company that he worked for didn't pay him 75% less. They paid him the same salary and he delivered 4 times more value. This is literally the exact reason why all these companies you see are paying engineers more now than before AI existed, right? It's simple math, right? Before AI, an engineer would produce 500K of value per year. With AI and after AI, the engineer now produces $2 million of value per year. Do you really think companies will pay more for someone generating 2 million value in a year? Of course, right? If you need proof, look at LinkedIn right now. You will find over 100,000 open front-end developer positions. So if AI was replacing these jobs, how would companies be desperately trying to fill 100,000 positions, right? The US Bureau of Labor Statistics projects 25% in growth in web development jobs by 2030. That's 5 times faster than the average for all other occupations, right? AI isn't eliminating coding jobs. It's transforming them from manual labor into high leverage strategic roles. And front-end developers are the very people building the interfaces for all these new AI products. The professionals that will be replaced are those who refuse to learn these new skills. Now, the question isn't whether AI will take your job. It's whether someone who knows how to use AI will. Now, I'm going to address another really big concern that you probably have right now, and I've heard this a lot, okay? It's quite common. Is coding too difficult for me to learn, okay? We've taught thousands of absolute beginners to learn to code. And this is what we've discovered, okay? The difficulty of coding, it's like this big myth in tech education. When David first started to learn backend development, he was lost, okay? The math, the algorithms, the abstract concepts, he literally thought coding wasn't for him, like he wasn't born for it. But then when he discovered front-end development, everything changed. It was visual, it was creative. He could see his results physically in hand, right? He could actually see them with his eyes. I'm gonna tell you about Jacob, okay? So Jacob actually had no college degree. He was working a blue-collar job, right? 0 technical background. He had never written a line of code in his life, okay? However, within 6 weeks of focused practice, Jacob landed his first front-end engineering role, making $85,000 a year. How? Because front-end engineering doesn't require complex mathematics or a coding brain, right? All it requires is 3 key traits: curiosity, consistency, and the right guidance. That's it. That's literally it. Now, the real challenge isn't the difficulty. It's finding the right path through this confusing maze of information. Now, that's exactly why, as long as you have a clear step-by-step roadmap designed specifically for people that are transitioning from non-technical backgrounds, you will learn how to code. Now, just to make sure, it's very important that you don't learn all of the unnecessary theory and complex mathematics, right? You only focus on the practical skills that actually get you hired. Now, with this, you need the fastest path to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, and now AI to tie it all together. But I will be honest, okay? There is one other key ingredient that you'll probably need in order to learn to code and land these high-paying jobs. It's a mentor, okay? Someone online, someone 24/7, ready to jump on a call with you at just a moment's notice, right? Someone who can vouch for you to these other companies when you need a referral. And just for your information, our current response rate to coding questions is 2 minutes and 37 seconds at any time of the day, okay? Now, I want to be completely straight with you, completely transparent with you. This is not some get-rich-quick scheme, okay? I'm not going to tell you that you're going to become a millionaire overnight without any effort, okay? What I will tell you is this, though. If you're willing to put in consistent effort over the next 3 to 6 months, you can build a skill that will pay you back for the next 30 plus years. And most people think way too short term, right? They want instant results, right? Without investment. But the most successful people think differently. The way they think is they ask, what can I spend 6 months mastering that will benefit me for decades to come? Front-end engineering is exactly that kind of investment. I've seen people transform their entire financial future in just 90 days of focused effort. But with those 90 days, they weren't easy, okay? They required dedication, they required commitment, practice, reaching out to our mentors, pushing through those hard challenges and barriers that your brain will put on you, right? Now, this is my honest promise, okay? This opportunity isn't magic, okay? It's a proven system that works if you put in the work. You can have the roadmap, you can have the 24/7 support, you can have the accountability and the job placement already lined up on a silver platter for you, but it'll only work if you're committed and you're motivated, okay? Is that fair? Now, if you're looking for an overnight solution, I'm sorry, but this is not it, okay? But if you're ready to learn a skill that companies are desperate to pay 6 figures and more for, then our upcoming call might be the most important conversation of your career, okay? Now, before your interview with our admissions officer, there's a couple key things that I recommend that you should follow so that you can get the absolute most out of your interview. So the first thing is very important. It's to set an alarm 5 minutes before your call time. Okay, now this might be obvious, but I need to be completely transparent. Our partner companies, they only want to work with people that can actually show that they're reliable and they're punctual. Okay, it's very important in this space. Now, if you miss out on this call, our system, unfortunately, doesn't allow rebooking. I've seen so many people miss their opportunity simply because they just forgot to set a quick reminder. So it's very important that you create a distraction-free environment, join from a laptop in a quiet place. Now, our admissions team is specifically evaluating whether you qualify for our job guarantee placement. It's very unfortunate when people join and there's screaming kids in the background, they're in their car with the phone camera shaking around and traffic whizzing past. It just kind of shows to the admissions officer that you're not really serious, right, about breaking into tech, okay? Think of this as like a pre-interview for a potential $100,000 per year position, okay? Treat it with that level of importance and respect, okay? We completely understand sometimes with changing careers, it's a big decision, right, to make. So we're more than happy for you to have your partner attend the interview with you. Now, in the case of this situation, what we recommend is that you forward the invite to the interview to their calendar as well. So both of you can come prepared, okay? Now, very important that you come prepared with a pen and paper. Even if by the end of the interview, either party decides that front-end engineering might not be the right fit or you don't qualify right now, it's fine. Our admissions team will provide a personalized career action plan based on your specific situation. Now, you would have received an email, by now. Make sure that you hit the I know this sender button just to make sure that the booking is added to your calendar. Again, this is one of those silly things that causes people to, miss out on a great opportunity, and we really don't want that for you, okay? I personally guarantee that regardless of the outcome, this call will give you clarity on your next steps towards a successful tech career. I'd also like to say congratulations for getting this far. Most people just complain about the cost of living rising, the crappy job, lack of fulfillment, lack of time, and you're here actually doing something. You're taking a step forward to your future. Now, there's just one more step to take, okay? It's basic. It's actually showing up to your call, okay? I know it sounds simple, but you'd be shocked at how many people book these calls and then they let fear or procrastination stop them from attending. Don't be like one of those people, okay? Set an alarm right now, 5 minutes before your scheduled time. Now, I just wanted to share some more examples of what's possible, okay? You can pause the video here and have a quick read of Letitia and Frank's stories. This is what they said, okay? FES is one of the best decisions I've ever made. These are folks that are very well versed and experienced in their field. They talk everything through step by step. I had no background in coding and only a vague idea of the industry. But as I made my way through the course content and received consistent mentorship from the FES team, I started to really understand and think like a programmer. I personally cannot wait to learn more about your specific situation and see if we can actually help you achieve the same results our other graduates have experienced. Now, whether this becomes the beginning of your tech journey or it's just like an informative session, I guarantee it will be time well spent. I'll see you on the call.